Have you ever wondered if you would be considered beautiful if only you lived in a different time? I certainly have. Especially when it might feel that you don't quite fit into the conventional beauty standards of today. My favorite time to fantasize about is the Regency era, mainly because I'm a sucker for romance, but also because I love to imagine myself in all those beautiful ball gowns. But was beauty really so different back then? That's exactly what we're going to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Historadame, and today, we're going to be discussing beauty standards of the Regency era. Regency era beauty revolved around the natural look. While there were specific proportions, features, and characteristics that were considered to be attractive, people in the early 1800s valued a natural and effortless type of beauty. They wanted everyone to think that they just rolled out of bed looking like that, even if that wasn't usually the case. This trend around natural beauty was tied to respectability. Young ladies were expected to hold virtues like being chaste, humble, and modest, and the natural look was seen to reflect that. This was a far departure from the fashion trends that had been popular in the decades prior to this, which favored large powdered wigs, heavy makeup, and styles of excess. In contrast, Regency women wanted a more healthy and youthful look. Features like a fair complexion, facial symmetry, bright eyes, and rosy lips and cheeks were the epitome of the beauty standard at the time. Skin was one of a lady's most important features. Having pale, soft, and flawless skin that was free of any marks or blemishes was not only considered to be a sign of health and wealth, but in such a competitive marriage market, your complexion could be the thing standing between you and some other girl getting the husband of your dreams. Pale skin was also a status symbol, because it signified that you were wealthy enough that you didn't have to work. The ideal body type during the Regency was one that is slightly softer than the standard today. We can see from things like books, portraits, and fashion plates that plump features were valued. Now, this is not to say that the ideal was to be overweight, but it wasn't being super thin either. Beauty was found in features that were healthy but soft, with round youthful curves in the face and body. And again, having this healthy layer of fat was another sign of your family's means and your overall health. In order to achieve this look, young women were encouraged to engage in daily gentle exercise, like going for a walk outdoors, in order to maintain their fit but soft figure. Another important aspect of the beauty ideal, especially for women, was being graceful. This was not only in your appearance and posture, but also in the way that you moved. Ladies were trained to be graceful from a very young age, being taught how to walk, how to dance, how to sit and stand properly. Grace was even important in the way that you spoke, with a soft-spoken, clear voice being particularly sought after for young women. But of course, though all these aspects made up the image of natural beauty that was so valued at the time, this did not mean that everyone achieved this look naturally. The Regency era approach to personal grooming and cosmetics is actually quite similar to many beauty trends that are popular today. Mainly, the goal was to put a lot of work into your appearance, while convincing people that you didn't put a lot of work into your appearance. The key components of this beauty routine revolved around hygiene, skincare, and the subtle use of cosmetics. During the early 1800s, regular bathing was only common in wealthy families. While key areas would be washed regularly with a sponge, taking a proper bath would really only be done around once a week, perhaps happening a bit more often during the warmer months. Since deodorant wasn't around yet, women would use perfume or scented soaps in order to cover up body odor. They did also have some semblance of dental hygiene. Although not much was known about dentistry during this era, people did have access to toothbrushes and picks, along with a special powder that they would use to clean their teeth. One interesting fact that many period dramas tend to leave out is that Regency-era women didn't shave. While it was not unheard of to remove excess hair on your arms or face, having leg and armpit hair was completely normal. After all, it wasn't like your legs were going to be on display anyway. Caring for the skin that was being shown to the public, however, was very important. Having a good complexion was one of the best things that you could do to boost your attractiveness. Aside from keeping your face clean, there were all kinds of creams and rinses that were used by women to make their skin soft and smooth. Some of these products could have been purchased from shops, or even ordered through the mail, but most of the time they would be made from scratch by a servant. And above all, the #1 rule for skincare was keep it out of the sun. Beauty manuals and advice columns recommended that ladies avoid going outside during the hottest times of the day. And if they must go out, they should keep their skin shielded using either a parasol or a bonnet. This is another thing that movies and shows set in the Regency tend to ignore. For some reason, the costume department always hates bonnets. I'm looking at you, Bridgerton. There is no way that all those ladies would be out there risking a suntan. And finally, if you were still having trouble with your appearance, then you could use just a little bit of makeup to help you out. This was tricky, however, because you weren't allowed to look like you were wearing makeup. Everything had to be subtle. Small amounts of rouge on the cheeks or a slight tint to the lips was acceptable, but a more obvious display of wearing cosmetics was very frowned upon by society. Women who wore heavy makeup were seen as vain and deceitful, trying to trap poor, unsuspecting men into marriage by hiding their true appearance. So if you wanted to wear makeup, you could, you just had to be extremely careful. Oftentimes, instead of turning to cosmetics, women were encouraged to focus on their natural strengths, and choosing the right fashions was the best way to do that. Regency fashion took heavy inspiration from the classical styles of ancient Greece and Rome. This influence can be seen through many of the era's iconic features, like empire waistlines, light colors, geometric patterns, and Greek-style sandals. Dresses were made from thin, high-quality fabrics, like muslin, batiste, and silk, usually in pale colors. A complete outfit also involved embellishments made from things like embroidery, ribbons, or ruffles, and of course, plenty of accessories. Like clothing, popular hairstyles also took inspiration from classical statues. In contrast to the dramatic wigs that were worn previously, Regency styles were more simple and focused on featuring your natural hair color. Women would wear their hair pulled back in various updos, often with a part in the center and curls framing the face. This could be achieved either with hair gel, pomade, or curling paper, and all of these hairstyles would then be finished off with one of the many accessories available, like tiaras, ribbons, hats, or bonnets. Beauty manuals recommended that young ladies who struggled to meet the idealized appearance focus not only on dressing in the latest fashions, but particularly choosing ones that highlighted your best features and hid the ones you weren't so proud of. For example, it was important to wear colors that complemented your natural skin tone. Those who had a darker complexion might want to avoid colors like white, which would draw attention to this, and instead opt for a green or purple. Honestly, it's not too different from a lot of the fashion advice that people give today. And on that note, I also just want to mention that although there was a standard of beauty in the Regency era, this did not mean that there was only one look that was considered beautiful. Although it might seem that movements like body positivity are rather modern, even some of the fashion manuals back then emphasized that there was not only one way to be beautiful. In the absurdly long titled book, The Art of Beauty, or The Best Methods of Improving and Preserving the Shape, Carriage, and Complexion, together with the Theory of Beauty, yes, you really could just call a book anything back then, one quote says, "Discarding the erroneous and absurd opinion entertained by some painters and critics, that only one size and one figure can be beautiful, and that all deviations from this ideal form and size approach to deformity, we say that the forms of beauty in the human figure are as infinite as the varieties of human genius." And I think that really says it all. So, do you think you would be considered beautiful in the Regency era? Which historical time period has your favorite fashions? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, you can also subscribe to my channel and keep up to date on all the fun history videos of the future. But for now, I bid you farewell.